So James, this is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of explain some of the differences, the key differences, and really it comes back to why we started this business.
Right.
There's a big difference between what wildlife want from a plant versus human beings.
Right.
There's traits that we're looking for. We want plants that will drop early, drop late, so we've got nourishment year round.
Right.
What are some of the other things we're looking for?
Well, first of all, you know, you're dead on. The plants that people are buying at nurseries and big box stores have been selectively bred for their appearance, you know. And in some cases, they've been selectively bred not to produce fruit, like some of the live oaks have been done.
Why is that? Why is that?
People don't like, this is hard for a deer man to say, but people don't like the ground littered with acorns.
Yeah, that's exactly the term, litter.
Litter. You select one, and so the plants. The problem I always had, and we said, why did I get involved in this? Is this is out of frustration, 40-something years of frustration, because there's just not much out there for folks that are adapted for deer. They're adapted to the area that they plant, the kind of soils they plant. Most folks are just used to going down and just buying a plant at the nursery, or worse yet, at the big box store.
So if you browse our website and you see a particular oak variety,
yes,
and you run down to your local garden center, it's highly probable that that same plant will not produce nuts or fruit purposely.
Right.
It's been selected to not provide litter and minimize maintenance costs for landscape contractors.
Yeah.
We're looking for something totally different, right? And that's really the whole genesis of Wildtree.
Yeah, you know, let's take oaks for example. A good acorn producing oak has a lot of characteristics that people don't want in their yard. You know, they're not all that pretty a lot of times, and they're very spreading because crown diameter is a function of how much acorns they're going to produce. So they're just not bred for that. You know, and another thing that really drives me crazy at these especially box stores. I don't mean to pick on them, but I need to pick on them. Is that they're usually, the plants that come there, first of all, come from all over. They're often not adapted for that area. You know, I see apple varieties, for example, sold regularly down here in Texas that you know good and well they're not going to produce, but they sound good. People recognize the names. But the real thing is that these are plants are brought there by contractors, and the store itself is not really responsible for those plants.
Right.
And they go through what I call the drought wet cycle. You go there one time, if you're going to buy something from them, you got to get there the day they arrive. Okay. They got somebody that's watering them occasionally, and so you go by there and they're all wilted down one day. Next day you go by, the water's running out of the pot. And what's going on in that pot is the critical thing about the future of that plant. You know?
Yeah, and that's a great point, because at Wildtree, we're more concerned with what's happening inside this pot by far than what we're the concern with what it looks like on top. A lot of the plants that you see in your garden centers, there's so much energy put into those plants. It's curb appeal they're looking for.
Right.
What we want is something that's going to be able to survive in harsh conditions once they're installed with very minimum maintenance. I mean, as little as it gets, as close to zero as possible without it being zero.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're big believers in root maker pots, and we're going to grow our seedlings in these root makers, and they'll be shifted into 3 and 5 gallon containers, in some cases 7s. And that's the focus here at Wildtree, is putting in a plant that is going to give you the greatest chance of success, which means the most healthy root system possible.
Right. Yeah. You got to start it off right.
Agreed.